imaginary test mules, a couple of pieces of the story that nobody can seem to fit together yet. There are two of the cars that have rodent damage, a lot of rat damage. That is one of them. The harness on that car is going to have to come out and be repaired and put back because there isn't a harness available for it. But how did those cars get into sealed containers that float in the ocean, but they ended up with rodents in it? There were 4 cars. There's 3. People know about 3, but there was actually a 4th car. It's red, it's fusion red, and that car is in pieces. So if you go over and look at that car, everything is orange and everything is tan. I have all those pieces, but I don't have the chassis. I have the wheels and tires and the seats and the body and all the pieces, all bubble wrap, but I don't have any of the chassis. These cars are going to be significant because every vehicle that is manufactured gets a statement of origin from the manufacturer, MSO. And there's a car in Europe that has never had the MSO cashed, is what they say when the car goes to DMV after the car is sold, then that goes through Department of Licensing, and starts the car off on its life in the DMV. These cars have never had those MSOs cashed, so they've never been titled. A local guy who lives here in Santa Barbara owns the cars, and we're negotiated the sale. It took them probably 7 or 8 months to negotiate the sale. We were concerned that the cars were in China, but China is a large tariff for the United States, so we had the cars, kind of during the negotiations, the cars ended up in a ship and ended up in Dubai where it's tariff-free. And then cars were in the ocean somewhere and we started renegotiating for the sale. So the owner of the car bought them for $800,000 for the 3. Wow. And then the 4th car shows up. It was all parts were part of the negotiations. He's given me the parts for the 4th car to repair another Roadster, but we're actually going to build a stand for the pieces and just display it that way. All 3 of the cars will eventually be in a museum. The same owner has a Tyrannosaurus Rex that's complete that he's purchased, and he has the largest coin collection in the world called the Tyrant Collection. And he owns part of what Queen Elizabeth, she was also a coin collector, he owns part of those coins. This guy has coins all the way back to the Romans. Yeah, so it's kind of I've been very fortunate working with Tesla, meeting some of these people.
So you go way back into the early days. What year, do you remember what year it was when you first started working for Tesla?
Well, they called me in September of 2008, and I didn't even know who Tesla was. And I'm a car guy. I'm a turbocharged, supercharged, nitrous oxide, big tires, trucks. I'm that guy, right? And I've been around cars my whole life, motorcycles. And Matt Giambruno called me and offered me a job and asked if I was interested in a job in 2008. And my dealership, I was a car dealer at the time, and it was doing really well, and I didn't really want the job. And I knew that was going to happen. Sorry. So I stopped being a car dealership. Anybody that's old enough to know that October 2008, when the economy dealership was doing really well, because I was selling cars $10,000 or less, and I sold 300 cars in 1 month, and there was 2 of us.
Wow.
Because the economy was diving and people were losing their $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 cars. So eventually I ran out of cars. And January 1st rolls around, I don't have any inventory. I've sold everything I own. I didn't have any inventory. I was looking online to get some cars. I've got my pickup loaded with a couple of people, and I have a car trailer on the back of my pickup with a car dolly. We were going to go to Oregon and pick up 5 cars, and my phone rings, and it's Matt Giambruno offered me that job at Tesla again. I thought, put my car in park, and that was the end of me being a car dealer. I'd never been to San Francisco. I said, free trip to San Francisco, and I kind of just did it. It's fun. I got to San Francisco, and I ended up running into a guy named Greg Zangi, if you know him. He was the director of parts and service at the time. They asked me to tell the coolest story, the best customer service story I ever could tell, and just so happened to involve Greg Zangi, and I didn't even know the guy. I never met him, but a Ducati that I had. And then the guy walks in, Jameson Cummings walks in, and he interviews me, and I had worked with him at a dealership in Seattle, and I didn't remember him either. So between the 2 of those people, they said, we're not going to interview you. And or Jameson did, walked out of the room, and that was the end of that, and I didn't think I was going to get the job. And then he kind of laughs because you don't remember me, do you? So he told me the story about how we had met at this dealership in 1998, and all these years later, they were offering me a job. So that's how I ended up going to work at Tesla. I wasn't looking for a job, but I found one.
What were the early days like? Can you kind of fill people in on how many hours a week you worked, what it was like working with Elon, and kind of explain what that was really like?
It was this all day, every day. How many Tesla employees are here, do you think? Does anybody know how many employees are here?
40.
So This event there would have been 3 or 4 of us because there just wasn't enough staff to run around. We did these ride and drive events. What's kind of interesting to me today is how many people have argued over there by that Roadster about the car doesn't exist, and how the new Roadster, that is the new Roadster that's coming out. And I actually watched an ex-Tesla employee about 30 minutes ago, actually maybe 45 minutes ago. An ex-Tesla employee, some lady was basically ready to go to fisticuffs with him because he was lying because that car doesn't exist. I thought, well, it's right here. I'm not sure what to say. But Tesla was fun. We had 100-hour weeks were pretty normal. You know, people think you can't do a 100-hour week, but you know, when you're having fun, it kind of just went away. You know, we just did it. Nobody complained. I don't remember ever hearing anybody complain. The people who do their jobs, they just vanished. It was, you know, either you made it at Tesla, or you didn't.
And then, were you guys all just inspired by the mission of what you guys were building when you were working there, or how did you work those long weeks and those long days, you know, and feel motivated?
It was really exciting because in the very beginning, you were meeting people that you would never have the opportunity to meet. Roadster owners, original Roadster owners are some of the richest people in the world. I have the original sales list. Here's a little secret. This back in 2009, a woman that worked in the office, admin type stuff, was keeping track of a Roadster. Back, anybody that knows Roadsters well enough, there was a recall in the very beginning, and she was tracking the recalls and all the service work. And Tesla was small enough; this was all done on an Excel sheet. Well, she mistakenly sent out that Excel sheet, her copy, that had every Roadster ever sold in the world. Well, about 6 seconds later, IT was sending out emails to delete that, but of course I'd already had it in a USB stick, and I saved it. So then I started looking at the who's who of the world, and the who's who of the world bought Roadsters. You know, if you, I guess I probably shouldn't say any name, but there are a lot of really well-to-do people in the world that have bought Roadsters, and I've been to a lot of their homes all over the world, and they, you know, they treat you really, really well. I've stayed at guest houses. There's a guy who has a guest house in Canada that's a 12,000 square foot guest home. I stayed in that place a couple times. That was fun. And I've been to a lot of these owners I never even met. They would just leave us keys to the house and say, "Oh, go do your thing. I'll see you later." Okay.
So what's interesting about these Roadsters now is that they've been around for about 12 years, and now they're starting to need some repair. So you are one of the few shops out there that actually knows how to service these things, and you even have pieces that you guys build on your own for them. So what are some of the things that you're seeing that has to be repaired on them?
Well, we build all the parts for the car that Tesla doesn't anymore. So whatever's out of stock, I check inventory on a regular basis, and whatever they don't have in inventory or what's running out of inventory, we'll start tooling up to build that part. We build all the body, we build every body panel, we build suspension stuff is a lot of a trade-off with Lotus, so that's stuff we find and source all these pieces. We build wheels, we build brakes, we build, right now we're having a run on batteries because they're aging out. There are a couple Roadsters that still exist. Give you guys some positive input. There are 2 Roadsters that are out there that still charge up to 240 miles on the original 2008 battery pack.
That's incredible.
It really boils down to the heat.
Yeah.
You know, the heat. A lot of you have seen lately that the 2012 and 2013 Model S's are losing their batteries. That's basically, it's an inadequate cooling for the pack issue. Cars that have been supercharged. We're doing, we have about 47 Roadsters in our shop today. We have some pretty rare VINs. We have Founders 8, we have VIN 4. Any of you watch MASH, the TV series, and the tall bald-headed Dr. Winchester, David Ogden Steiners was a friend of mine for a long time. He gave me that car in his will when he died. That was a pretty moving experience to have somebody will you a car, and then I got willed another one. So I don't really like that experience. I mean, it's great to have the car, but it's, you know, it's pretty humbling actually.
So tell them about when I was visiting your shop, you had a car that you bought on auction. You thought you were buying it for pieces, and then you opened up the door.
Oh yeah.
So maybe you can share that story.
So we bought VIN 966. It's a white car, and we had the car for a couple of years, but we were taking electronics off the car, and we started, apparently from looking back, we started the driver's headlight, kind of went around the passenger side and down that side, but we never opened the driver's door for over 2 years of owning the car. We opened the door, and Elon and Franz and 5 engineers and all these people that signed the doors, like, where did this come from? So I traced the history back on the car, and Franz had apparently bought it for his father, is the story that I have. And now we're going to restore the car, although it was in it looks like a head-on collision. It's pretty rough, but we can fix it.
So you're planning on restoring that one, and then what would you do? Would you sell it? Would you keep it? What do you do with something like that?
I mean, I can't hold on to them all.
I feel like his shop is almost like a museum. When you go inside of this place, there's so many relics in there. You almost need a museum to kind of show off some of these pieces that you have that you've saved from over the years. It's really a museum of Tesla.
We collect Tesla memorabilia, and I'm creating a library right now of the ex-Tesla shirts. Because Tesla had all these really cool shirts in the beginning, trying to get their name out there. And I'm collecting all these shirts or pictures. Some people won't give them up. But I'm collecting all these shirts. We're making a catalog. We're trying to catalog all of the original memorabilia, because if you think about it, early on, nobody knew Tesla was going to make it. I don't know if you've ever seen the little Roadster cubes. Anybody, the original Roadster owner, got a little cube, a laser etched cube. I just found out the other day there were 3 different variations of that cube, because I have all 3 of them, and I just happened to open them up, and I thought, I just had 3 of them. I didn't know they were different. And I looked at them, and there's like...
Wait, I didn't even know about this myself. So what kind of cube? Like, what do you mean? What kind of cube did they get?
It's acrylic, and it's got a roadster that's laser etched in the middle of it. And some of them, like David Steyer's car, which is the one I was looking at, had his cube was laser etched in 2006 when he put money down on the car. So I don't know exactly the timeline with all that. It was right before I started, when they were handing out leather swatches and paint codes. Paul Allen, the ex-co-founder of Microsoft, I ended up with all that stuff, memorabilia from his car. His car was bought, VIN-95, his car was purchased by Tesla. And I don't know if anybody didn't know whose car it was or what, but that car got parted out. And went to scrap.
And a unique thing about Carl is that he remembers every VIN number and who's owned that VIN number of these original Roadsters. So how many original Roadsters total were built?
2,450 is the total number. We figure that about 12 to 1,300 ended up in the United States.
And how many of them are kind of like in existence right now, like still out there?
I'm guessing around 1,000. I think that early on, Tesla, anything with scratch in the tub, the aluminum chassis, those cars got parted. Those cars were totaled out, because Tesla would, any mar on a panel was a requirement to be replaced, and a lot of cars got parted out for scratches in the tub.
So do you find that people now are driving them still, or are they keeping them more as like a collectible piece?
We have 2 camps. We have the collectible that are bringing the cars to us for restorations. We have about 12 restorations going right now on car. People are putting their car back to original. We've got a couple cars that were highly customized, and we're putting those back to original, where they actually cut panels. And we have one that's just horrible, but we're all new body. We can fix the car.
All right. So this also Roadsters right here, and how they ended up at your shop with the China Roadsters. So we talked about you having them, but what was the journey for them to end up at your shop?
So the owner of these cars has 2 other Roadsters. The story I heard, and I don't know if it's true, was he purchased a Roadster and he was rear-ended on his way home. He went back and bought the exact same car again, and now still has them both. We just restored one of them. One of them actually came on the truck with that car, coming back here. We have another one at the shop. But he was a good customer. We started talking about these cars and a couple other topics, and he was thinking that he was interested. So I reached out, made a bid on the car. Then there was some controversy over a $2 million bid that so I basically cut out the middleman and went straight to the owner of the car and just negotiated the deal. It took probably close to 7 months to do that. And I've never met the owner of the cars. I ended up with $800,000 of his money, talk about trust, and bought these cars for him. And then it took about 3 or 4 weeks, because we needed to document the MSOs and do a lot of critical, I would say, documenting of the items, and then making sure that they were preserved properly. Because if those MSOs get damaged, those cars there's no paperwork to them. So we did a lot of things up front. That's all in place now, and the paperwork is here in Santa Barbara, and I have the cars.
So what are some of the things the story was out there a lot in the news, and there were certain things that were mentioned that were maybe as accurate that came out about them? Did you hear anything that maybe you'd like to clear up about different, you said there were some offers being made that maybe were not real offers or anything?
I don't know the whole story, because I was not, a normal auction would be an auctioneer like up here, Bear Jackson, the car rolls past, bid. These were closed bids, so nobody knew about the bidding or where it was going. And the owner of the car told me when I told him there was a $2 million bid, he was surprised because he said he didn't know about it. So we backed out because this guy was not going to pay $2 million for the cars. We just backed out and let it go for 3 or 4 months. And then they circled back to us and said, the guy that owned the car said, "You're the only bid. You're the only." I don't know if that was the only legitimate bid or whatever. And so we ended up working it out. I flew to Phoenix and I looked at the cars and they were well cleaned up. This car has some damage. If you go look at that car, there's a bunch of pock marks and stuff all the front bumper. They tried to remove the paint protection film with a pressure washer. Should have been used with steam. Not a big deal. The bumper on that car's damaged anyway from, that was a front car in a container, had a big pillow in the front of it, so the pillow expanded and the heat inside of the container, 120, 140 degrees, compressed that bumper, so we're gonna have to heat that back bumper back up. That's the one part I can find. If anybody here has a 2.5 front bumper, I need them.
And then there was the fourth one that no one talked about that you kind of said that was in there in pieces. And so we believe, or you told me when we were talking that you believe it's probably, they've been purchased to be re-engineered in some capacity. They've been taken apart, you think? So
those cars were, the story we heard was the cars were purchased by an engineering firm to reverse engineer. And what I'm understanding is 3 of the cars were not taken apart, but the 4th one was dismantled for the engineering, and nobody knows where the chassis went, the motor went, or all the electronics. Everything you need to make that car digitally is gone. Mechanically, I have all of those pieces. So I have suspension and steering and all that stuff, but I don't have any electronics. So I think they managed to take the one car and get somewhere with it, but none of us have seen a car pop up out of China that looks like a Roadster. So.
And then how do you think the rodent got in there?
I don't know. That's an interesting, because if those containers float in the ocean, how'd the rodent get in and out? Unless the rodent was already in there, or were the cars? The claim was the containers were never opened on the dock. So apparently, there was several $100,000 worth of storage for us to get them off of the dock in China, to get them to Dubai, to get them here. We're gonna keep pieces of the story together. I'll eventually end up in China. He wants me to go to China and chase the story down. I'll eventually be in China to chase this down, but we'll see how it goes.
It's fascinating. But I did want to open this up to you guys if you had any questions for Carl, because he's really just like this wealth of knowledge going back to his early days at Tesla and knowing everything that there is to really know about the original Tesla Roadster. So if you guys, is there anyone out there that has any questions about the Roadsters or the China Roadsters, or any questions about a particular VIN number? Who remembers every VIN number? Let us know. Feel free to raise your hand. Oh, over here.